Hello everyone and welcome back to Crowley House. Today I thought I would chat with you a little bit about peonies and growing peonies for in your garden or for a cut flower. So today I thought we would just kind of chat through some of the ones that we have coming on and some things that you can look out for and know for just cutting and growing beautiful peonies. One thing I love about peonies is they are probably one of the most easiest plants to grow. They grow pretty much anywhere with any soil, and they have very little like bug pressure or disease pressure. Sometimes what we run into is we'll have to spray a little bit of fungicide in the spring if it's really wet, but that's about it. So anyways, first of all, I wanted to show you our new guest on the farm, and Braden's gonna just tell you a little bit about that and also about his little project he's working on in the back field, which is our area where we keep all the animals. Okay, so we're back here where Braden is working on this project. It's turning out perfect. He got a little string line. Everything is lined up perfectly. What we're trying to accomplish here is just kind of a little bit of a hedgerow that's going to act as a wind barrier that will block some of the winds that come in here. So what we have happen here is we get a lot of wind that comes through here. It's called the Van Duzer quarter, and it happens every evening. So what we're trying to do is create a little bit of shelter for the animals so that they can be protected from the wind. The other area we're gonna work on, Braden's gonna add just a few more little grouping out here for the animals to be able to duck underneath, like if a predator comes around and, you know, they just have a place to kind of duck and hide. We do have a hedgerow that's along here that the animals do like to shelter in, but they're kind of dying, and so that's why we're creating this space. And we got all these trees. They need to get in the ground because we'll still have a little bit of rain that will be coming through the next couple months, but then we get into our dry season. This will just allow these ponderosas to kind of get a nice established root source before it does get kind of hot. So what we will be doing is just coming out here every once in a while and watering, especially on really hot days. You know, when we get over 100 degrees, we will just give these a little drink of water every time that happens.
Come with me. So in here we have some new farm friends. So we have two Indian runners, and I believe they're blue Indian runners. They're kind of like a grayish, like shiny, almost blue looking tint. When they're adults. And then we have the gosling, and the reason I got a gosling is because I just wanted to well, I wanted a goose, but I just wanted to like train it so it was as friendly as possible. That was my ultimate goal, and I think so far it's working out pretty well. So we have our gosling, which I named Gertrude, and then our two Indian runners, which I have not named yet. And then I have the tank for them, and Gertrude is pretty well acclimated to humans, and I think the ducks really like being around Gertrude. So come here, Gertie. I know you're nice and warm. So here she is. Gertrude! Hi! This is nice. Oh, hi! That's how they show affection.
Nibbling at your hair.
No, they just nibble at you. Let's go, Gertrude. Come on. Let's go. Let's go. Come on.
So over the years, we have had quite a few animals here on the farm. One of the staples that we use is ducks to help control slugs. In the spring, we have a lot of rain, so slugs love that, of course, and little snails and things like that. And so to help control that here on the farm, we use ducks. We're down to 2 ducks, and so Braden ended up getting 2 more Indian runners, and then we got a guard goose, which it's Gertrude. Super cute, oh my gosh. So we're hoping that the guard goose will be around with the ducks and kind of help a little bit with predators. We tend to have, just like bobcats tend to be the worst predator that we have here for ducks, we always put them in at night, but even then, sometimes they'll just during the day just disappear. So there is things that lurk around the edges of our hedgerows and can get them. So unfortunately, because we get really attached to our ducks. But anyways, now on to a little chat about peonies and growing them in the landscape versus growing them for a cut flower. Braden and I are out here checking all of the peonies. It's getting very, very close. We are definitely going to have them for Mother's Day, which is a huge win this year because that is one of the most, I guess, the time of year where we can sell the most of the peonies. So as you can tell, this field here is set up more for production. It's got nice wide rows, long rows. It's not very pretty, I guess, where if you're using it in the landscape, you're going to be popping them in and around other things. Here for just cutting, it's actually not that pretty because we'd never let these bloom fully unless it gets really hot one day and we miss the harvest window or something like that. But what we're looking for today is this. So this one here, you can tell it's already cracked, or is what we're looking for is to show a little bit of color. This is Coral Charm, which is absolutely stunning. One of the very first to bloom, and we're already getting a little give to it. Not quite ready to harvest, but I bet you with this nice weather that we have, they are going to be ready to harvest within a week or so, which is really early for us. I would say the beginning of May. But look at this one. This one technically would open. It's farther along. It's definitely got that crack on it. So this will be a really good crop this year. So these bushes, they're gonna get about this tall in a week or so, but they are probably almost 20 years old. They're huge. You can look down at the base and they've got an amazing amount of girth to them, which is really cool. If you were going to divide these would be a huge chore because they have been in the ground for a very long time and you'd want to do it in the fall time. It would take a lot of work. We've just never done it, and they just keep producing an amazing rate. I think they're just really happy here. Coral Charm is a great one to have in the landscape because it is so upright. You can tell we have no trellising on here at all. If you were doing or planting something like a Sarah Bernhardt, which has that huge double bloom and is a very old-fashioned variety, you would definitely want to stake those. Those tend to have that huge double bloom, and when it rains or anything, it gets really heavy and topples over. So at home, I am going to be staking some of my peonies, and the best time to do that is when the peony foliage looks like it's just coming out of the ground, and generally that color goes from this deep burgundy to this beautiful lush green that is here now. So I'll show you what that looks like. So this is a peony that's just coming out of the ground here. So this would be the perfect time to, if you had this in the landscape, to go ahead and put on a peony ring or some sort of caging, because when this grows up and those heads start to bop over, it'll kind of contain it, and you can find some really great ones that kind of hide in the landscape. Peonies only bloom for about 6 weeks for us, depending on the weather. If it's really hot, then it's less than that. But after it blooms, the foliage is really the star, especially in the fall. We use the foliage a lot in fall design work for weddings, which is absolutely amazing. It's one of my favorites. So to keep the plant going, watered, and that's pretty much all it needs is a couple times of water during the hot summer. They're very, very forgiving. They don't really like to have too much of a clay soil, but like this is clay, definitely clay soil, and we just have, when we first put them in, that's the key point to when you want to add in just a little bit of compost and something like that to just really give it some nice drainage, and then you're just not going to have a problem. You can also tell that this field has got a slight slope to it, and that helps also drain that water off and down, which is really nice. So anyways, I will show you some other varieties we have coming on. This one here is our next bloomer. After the coral charm, this won't come on, and you can tell it's already starting to do the same thing. Crack a little bit, show some color. And this one's a beautiful burgundy red. It's called Big Ben, and people love it because it is that cross between burgundy and purple and red all in one. And so it works really, really well for designing. I wanted to show you also something that we do with some of our peonies that we want to disbud. I'm going to show you what that is. This one here has, and you can tell, multiple little flower heads. So if you were to come through and pop off one, then this head here will become larger. And it just takes a lot of time to do that, especially when you have this many. But you can kind of go through, and they're really tiny right now. It makes it super easy, and you can just pluck them. And then that flower head will put all of the energy, instead of all those little ones, it'll put it into one big one. So then you're gonna have this massive bloom. So this is measles, or another term for leaf blotch is measles, or peony measles. And there's another thing called botrytis as well. So those are kind of the two things that peonies will get. So leaf blotch is caused by a fungus. And so the best thing to use is, like I said, copper or some sort of fungicide every 16 days just to keep it under control. Same with botrytis. We don't see botrytis very often, but it can happen. So it's something to just kind of research and know when you decide you want to plant peonies. Basically what's happening right now is we've been having really hot days, but also just kind of a little bit moist in the mornings, and I think that's what's causing it on this variety here. The rest of them look really, really good. I'm not seeing it too much. This field was sprayed at some point this season. I'm just not sure if it's been kept up or not. Anyways, it's looking really, really good. I think I'm happy with it, but we're gonna be cutting peonies way sooner than I thought. So tonight I was gonna go ahead and plant another peony. I have a coral charm, which I thought would look really pretty here in this circle garden. And I have a spot that's kind of bare, and it's kind of struggled with a few other things. And peonies for us just grow super, super well. And they are just something that will fill in the space and kind of hold with the foliage and everything like that, and just kind of make it look a little bit better through the summer months when it's really hot. So when you're planting peonies, one thing you need to look for when you're planting in spring, you can plant the whole, like if you go buy like a whole, like, I don't know, you can sometimes at the big box stores, or here we have some big peony growers like Adelman's, and you can buy them already potted up with foliage and buds and everything like that. What you're looking for is something that is pretty robust so that you can actually have blooms with it. If they're kind of puny, it takes years and years for them to actually start being prolific and blooming and that kind of thing. So what we look for is anywhere from 4 to 6 eyes on it, which is really nice. You're going to get some nice roots with it as well. If it's less than that, it's just going to take a lot of years to actually grow on. You can grow peonies from seed, but again, it takes so long. And most gardeners, if you're like me, you're a little impatient. So anyways, so some things to note, a lot of people ask me like, my peonies aren't blooming, you know, and especially if you're in the South, if you have, you know, warmer climate, you want to make sure your peony is actually really close to the surface, maybe like even a ½ an inch away from the surface of the top of the soil. Part of the reason is you really want your peonies to get a cold time period so that they will set bloom. They need that to do that with. So here in the Pacific Northwest where we're at, we bury them about 1 inch below the soil. If you're in a place like Alaska, you're going to do about 2 inches. So the warmer you are, just really shallow, ½ an inch, you know, mild, mid to mild climate, you know, 1 inch, cold climate, 2 inches. Super easy. They are a very easy plant to grow, and they make you feel amazing because they should put on a show for, like I said, 4 to 6 weeks, and it's just beautiful and stunning. So in the spring, we like to plant them in containers with the soil, and they're already growing. That's fine. In the fall, you want to do bare root, which is actually a little bit better. This was something that I got in bare root, and we just didn't have time to plant all of them. So I just threw them in pots with a little bit of soil, and they've done done great. For the first couple years, when your plant is small and young like this, you definitely don't want to be cutting this for cut flowers. You want to actually disbud. It's really hard to do. And that means to take the little bud off like we were doing in the field, the big field. So I'm going to go ahead and get this planted. And it doesn't need any fertilizer or anything like that. It just needs a little compost. I'm just going to dig a hole, pop it in, and it's going to be happy. When you're planting your peony, just don't plant it too deep. They just need a little bit of chill time. We've talked about that. I'm trying to think of anything else. Disbud them for the first couple of years, and after about 3 to 4 years, then it'll be prolific, and you really want those greens to be like showing off and beautiful and big, lush, kind of like the field that we just showed where we do the majority of our cutting. So when you are cutting, you don't want to cut more than 1/3 off of any one given plant per year. So that just kind of tells you, like, just enjoy them for the first couple of years, and once your plant gets really robust, then you can start enjoying and cutting and bringing them into the house and to enjoy, you know. So anyways, I've got to stake one more peony, and so I'm going to show you how I'm going to do that. This one I'll stake eventually. I just need to stake another one that's a lot bigger. This one's pretty small and it's not going to have the heavy bloom on it this year, so I'm not worried about it. But anyway, so let's go head over to the shade garden and I will go stake that and I'll show you what I use. So some folks ask why, when we're actually growing peonies for cut flowers, why we don't stake each one. And that's because we cut our peonies way before they even open. So we want them in that marshmallow stage. They're still round, and we can actually dry store them, or we put them in buckets, put them in the cooler, let them just sit there. They used to ship peonies all over a long time ago without any water, and a lot of times that's how we do it as well. We'll wrap them in some newspaper, and then you just want to cut the ends of them, rehydrate them again. So sometimes if we have a wedding in July that really wants peonies, that's how we do it. We'll process a whole bunch of them, cut them, wrap them in some nice lightly moist paper, and then stick them in our cooler in a dark spot, like in a box or something like that. And then we can refresh, cut them, and they just bounce right back, which is really cool. But see, I do this all the time. I just digress and go down another little rabbit trail, so you'll have to forgive me. So when you are growing them as a cut flower, we don't get them to that huge open stage where they bop over. Every once in a while we'll have a couple that do that, but we're not worried about that. So that's why we don't stake them. We grow them in those long rows. We grow them super close together, which also helps with staking. But here in the garden, where you kind of let them do their thing and bloom beautiful and you just get to enjoy them, we will stake them. And a couple things you can use is like old tomato cages that you can cut down. You can actually cut them at each level. Works really well. Or we've been known to use fencing. So we have some old fencing that we'll just use a little pair of snips, cut through, and then kind of wire them together, and just at the base kind of wrap it around. That holds it in. But you can also pick up what we call a peony cage. I'll show you what that looks like. So this is just a big hoop, and it's got these like dangly, so you can actually store it really easily on the wall in the wintertime, which is nice. A little tricky to put together, but it's basically got 3 legs on it, and you just pop it right over your peony as it's coming up. So you want to do it before it gets too big. So these are great. I forget how much this one was, but just you can use, like I said, tomato cage to make it easier, or some fencing, or anything that you have to help stake it up if you're going to let your blooms fully bloom out. So this peony was a little bit larger than I like, just to put the ring on, but I caught it just in time. You kind of, I'm just despudding here because we're here in the garden and I'm going to do that. Here is kind of the stage that you would probably want to put your ring on. It just makes it a little easier. But as you can see, I still got it on and it was fine. Probably in a week or two, it probably would not have been fine. It would have been a little bit more of a struggle. But this plant here gets pretty dang big. I have another one here that I'll have to stake as well. I just didn't bring one with me. I just brought one to show you guys. But anyways, pretty soon you won't be able to even see that ring there. This foliage is going to cover that up and it's going to look amazing. I believe this is a Sarah Bernhardt here. Not totally for sure, but I think that's what it is. I have 3 here. This is a really old-fashioned kind of pink, hot pink with kind of a yellow center, and it's a single. And then I think I have a white one tucked back there, which is a late bloomer. So they're all 3 of them are gonna bloom at different times, which will be really pretty. So the other day, Marcia, one of our watchers here on the YouTube channel, sent me a lovely gift of some hostas. She shared them divided from her own garden. One is a green with a variegated edge of white, which I absolutely love. And then the other is one of the large blue, big hostas with the huge leaves, which I absolutely love, and I don't have one, so I'm super excited to put that in my garden. I believe the story is that it was her grandfather's or passed down somehow to her, and then she passed one to me, which I love stories of like that. Anything that people just share and pass on is just so rewarding. I don't know about you guys, but super cool. She also sent me a willow gentian. She gave me this cute little tag with it. Willow gentian. I know nothing about this plant other than it does like a little bit more sun than the shade garden, so I have a little spot that I'm going to tuck that in. Willow gentian looks like this. The sun's really bright, but it's like a blue flower that gets kind of tall. Like you can put it in, this is her garden, isn't that beautiful? And it's just right here in the front. So you could have something tall like she does. It looks like she's got some beautiful things mixed in there. But it looks like it actually might make a really nice cut flower. Looks really pretty. So she sent all these beautiful photos for me to kind of see what it's gonna look like in the end. Look at that bell, look at this bell. That's a better photo. And then she sent me a couple cute little cards, but I really liked this one, and it says, "The Great Spirit is heard in the twittering of the birds, the rippling of the mighty water, and the sweet breathing of flowers." I love that. It's so true. Anyways, so I've popped them in the ground. I was gonna show you where I put them, and so this is just making a really nice addition to the garden. So here you go. So I scattered the hostas throughout this little garden here. I did just the variegated ones here, and then I put the big blue one here because I have another large leafed right here. So I think that's gonna fill in really nice, especially next to that Solomon seal. I don't know if you all saw that. Beautiful, look at that stand, gorgeous. Okay, and then I put the willow gentian right here next to the peonies, which are going to look, I think, beautiful. They have a blue flower like you saw in the picture, and that's gonna look really stunning all the way through this beautiful little shade garden, which we just continue to work on. So one other question I get a lot is, there's ants on my peonies, and that is because there's a sugar that is on the peony, and the ants come and eat it. And it doesn't hurt anything, but some people are kind of creeped out by that. And I just kind of whap them off and then enjoy them in the house. So we don't tend to have too many problems with it, but that can be a problem with the peonies. The other fun fact about peonies is they are edible. Apparently you can take the flower and plop it into a salad or food and enjoy. So we do use them on wedding cakes quite a bit. Well, thank you for watching today. I hope you learned a little bit more about peonies, maybe not to be so afraid about popping a few in the garden and just letting them do their thing. That's probably one of the easiest things you can grow. And as a cut flower farmer here, we grow again in mass production, but that is also simple. We have a little bit of care in the spring, and through July we have to water a little bit, but they're super easy, and of course very rewarding because Everybody loves peonies. Okay, until next time, much success in all you do and grow, and we will be seeing you shortly back here at Crowley House very soon. Bye-bye. If you'd like to know more about the varieties we grow and also the video that we did while we were cutting and in season, I will put it at the end of this video and you can check that out. It's really kind of fun. We go through all the names and everything like that. Also, if you haven't yet, leave us a comment below and let us know what is your favorite peony if you have one. And I'm curious if anybody grows a tree peony and where they have planted it and is it successful. I've heard they're a little different to grow and I would love to put one in my garden. Okay, until next time, much success in all you do and grow, and we'll be seeing you shortly back here at Crowley House very soon. Bye-bye!